One, and we are.
Welcome everyone to another BitShares Open Agenda Hangout on the Beyond Bitcoin Network. Today is Saturday, April 28th, 2018, and I am Fuzzy, and I'm going to be taking you guys through Hangout number 69. We have been here from the very beginning of BitShares, trying to bring the community together into an open source kind of society where we can join together every week, talk about the things that are important, and no one has to worry about a pay-to-play barrier getting in the way of talking about what they would like to talk about. So we generally have people who join up as guest speakers every week. For those of you who cannot go to conferences, who cannot go to meetups that are local meetups, this is another way that you can support BitShares and do it in a way that you don't have to worry about geographical boundaries. You don't have to worry about pay-to-play with the barriers to entry. And we also offer the world's first cross-chain utility tokens that are massively used by a large and continuously growing community. So this is all made possible by Graphene and by mutual aid society chains and BitShares. And we try to create synergy between those. And that's why we leverage these for various competitions, contests, and initiatives within the ecosystem, and rewarding guest speakers who join up just to talk about something that they feel needs looked at by the community and provide updates for projects that they're working on and just get noticed for what they're doing in general and for things that they think are important that all of us should consider. So for those of you who want to participate in these Hangouts, you can go to my thread, which is @officialfuzzy on Steemit or on Whaleshares, steemit.com or whaleshares.net. And you can always sign up for these Hangouts there. And we will be looking at the RSVP threads and compiling the guests who join up this every week and putting them in an order that we will then go through where everybody can discuss what they're wanting to discuss during the Hangout. If by chance these Hangouts go to the point where we cannot cover everything, we always have an after party where if you are toward the end of the Hangout, we will still keep it open for anybody to live stream their own stuff if they would like to, or just for us to be able to sit back and talk behind the scenes offline about what we would like to talk about. So with that said, here is today's agenda order. First, we'll talk about general announcements, some of the challenges that we're doing this week. Then we're going to move into Steam Power and his excerpt from the BitShares State of the Network report. Then we'll move on to Xanox, and he's going to be providing RootX updates. And then Fox is going to follow that with the BitShares core team updates, followed by the Gravity protocol, and that is the Gravity project. And then we're going to end today with Phrase from society.io. Now, with that said, I'm going to just really quickly take this time to, right before we get started on anything else, to let everybody know we do have a Beyond Bitcoin newsletter every week that I post to my account, and it gives you updates on EOS talks, on Open Agenda, BitShares Hangouts, on Whaleshares community, and we have various shows like the Whaleshares curation show and the Promote Your Post live show on the Whaleshares. And these are going to be different communities, but they're all working within the Beyond Bitcoin sphere. We even have some Spanish editions, people who are actually going and doing what we do every week using the same agenda that you guys provide, and they're providing now, what do we call this? In Espanol, I guess is what we would call it. So they actually go through the exact same agenda that you guys who are here help provide, but they cover it in another language. So these things are starting to take on a life of their own, and some cool things are coming from them. And I urge you all to support what's going on here as a grassroots kind of turning everything upside down type of ecosystem here. Now, with that said, this week we have an Urio promotional art challenge. We have a Smoke Network meme contest. And we have an open.eos DAC added to the DEX share drop complete initiative that we were talking about. So just make sure that you go to our official, to @officialfuzzy on Steemit or on WhaleShares beta, whaleshares.net beta, and you can see what we're doing there and you can participate directly from there. Now on to the Steam Power BitShares State of the Network report excerpt for this week. Liquidity on the BitShare DEX has had a notable increase this week, with open orders increasing by 37.5% and BitCNY increasing a 21% increase in issuance this week. Next, the BitShares Blockchain Foundation has announced BitShares has been listed on RightBTC. After that is Rudex this week has announced the launch of their F gateway, and we'll work on providing an ERC20 gateway in the future. That's great news. After that, Spark, formerly known as BitSpark, has spoken on how they're using cryptocurrencies like BitShares as the rails for disruption of major players like Western Union. And finally, for this excerpt, Stan Larimer and Matt Demeter have finished on the Bubba Horowitz show talking about cryptocurrency privacy, decentralization, tax implications, fees, and more. So you can always go and check @SteamPower on steemit.com, and I believe on whaleshares.net as well during the beta of that chain. And what we're doing is we have it where you can actually go there, you can read the entire thing on his page, you can support anything else that he's doing because that's not the only thing that he posts every week. Generally, there are other things that he posts and shares from the community. So that's another person to definitely keep an eye on in the BitShares ecosystem and who participates voluntarily every week. And he's being rewarded for doing so, doing something that he already would have done. So it's really cool what we're offering in this ecosystem and looking forward to seeing more people leverage it. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started with Xanox today as the first speaker. Xanox is from Rudex, and he's going to be providing some updates on that front. So go ahead, Xanox. Let's step up to the plate, and I will step back and hand you the mic.
Sure. Hello. I haven't been here for a while in the official talking capacity for about a couple of months, I think. Since then, we've created a couple more of the gateways for Graphene chains. There's been for Scorum and for Travel chain. And another highlight from recent weeks, I think last week we announced the launch of Ethereum gateway, and we are working to provide an ERC 20 token gateways, but with the recent problems with Ethereum smart contracts, this is delayed a bit. One of the things I want to talk, I want to ask the community is that the fact that there's less than 40 days till EOS launch, and we've encountered some problems with the ERC20 tokens. Should we concentrate on providing an EOS gateway for the Ethereum tokens for EOS, or should we make sure that we launch an EOS gateway as soon as the main net of EOS launches? Another thing that we're working on is that there's going to be a Bitcoin gateway on Redux sometime soon. I can't tell you the ATA, but that's what we've been working on. Actually, it's probably going to be one of the ERC forks like Digibyte or whatever, or maybe Doggy, because we we like to test it with with the small guys, which have quicker confirmation times and stuff like that. But since they use the same software with different settings, if we get that gateway going, the next step will be BTC. On unrelated note, I'm going to take part in a global Graphene conference in Shanghai, but in an official capacity as a member of Rudex team, but I'm going to be part of Gravity Protocol team, and we're going to present officially present Gravity at the conference. But that's something that Yuri will be talking about later. If you have any questions, now is probably a good time to ask.
You can probably see what I'm going to say from what's in the text, but does anybody else have anything to say before I speak? Okay, so Talkinator's saying launch with the real token. And I'm going to just put words in his mouth, and Taco can say if I'm right or not, but I'm assuming that's because it's a lot of work to add the ERC tokens, and that's going to be a lot of work just for seemingly a month, a little bit over a month of use, of proper use, before you end up just having it as an EOS token that's on the native chain.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, continue.
But at the same time, and I don't disagree with him, that's actually a very, very good point. The one question that I bring up then at the same time is, though, that we have a lot of people from EOS who are newbies, who are like, oh my God, I have to get into EOS. I'm not from any other cryptocurrencies, really. Like, I have maybe one or two, there's a lot of new people who are coming into EOS, a lot of people. And there are a lot of people who are freaking out about registration. And I'm talking like freaking out, like, how do I register? Have I done it right? Right? Like, am I going to do it, think I did it, and then not have done it right, and then I don't get right? So there's this big pain point right now. And there really aren't any other options or opportunities or offers from exchanges that are connected to a blockchain anyway, right? And are so transparent because they're backed by a blockchain, that actually come out and say, we're going to offer this.
One of the things that I have to say is that if those people were following EOS blog posts, then they would know that EOS team posted about this, that there's a procedure to register your account, but there's a backup thing that
you're talking about the tool that they've created, or
I'm not sure, but about the tool, because I haven't been following EOS for a while, and I don't own EOS myself, partially because of those reasons. I mean, I don't want to touch ether-based stuff if I have to. If I don't have a really compelling reason, and
a very compelling reason.
Yeah, and so I will start buying Ethereum tokens once the mainnet launches, and I understand that it's not probably missing out on big movements. I probably could have bought them when they were like $50 or whatever. But that's something like if I don't really have a compelling reason to hold the Ethereum-based tokens, I won't do that.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, let's face it.
But what I was talking about is that they said that actually you can not register your wallet and still get the tokens, because there's a backup procedure that just uses your private key to sign some transaction, whatever. Well, I'm not remembering the details because it was like half a year ago. The post that described this thing is that there were a lot of questions about registering, blah blah blah. So we created a backup thing, blah blah blah. So you don't have to worry if you are not sure about this. It would be better if you use the registration thing, but you don't actually have to. So look it up, and I think you well, if you have some worries, then you better do some research that would alleviate them. That's the thing. And yes, we were working on getting this sometime, like in the last maybe 2-3 months, but unfortunately, Ethereum, well, our resources are a bit limited, and Ethereum is a bit complicated to use if you don't, if you don't have the expertise with Ethereum. And we don't. I mean, we can raise a graphene-based gateway in maybe one day, but there are a lot of problems with Ethereum. So it took us quite a bit of time, and that's another reason why we can raise an Ethereum, an EOS gateway as soon as the mainnet launches, and we plan to have a EOS testnet gateway up sometime soon, so you can play with sending us fake tokens and getting things. But we will turn it over to the mainnet and destroy all the tokens, so it's relaunched as soon as it's open. But I think there's going to be a testnet gateway someday soon. Not sure.
Yeah, it's a big question for me, and I think if it comes down to how many resources you have, I think having it ready for EOS main launch is the best one. But I do.
I also think that there's another reason why it might be prudent to wait till one mainnet is established, because from how Block One was setting up things, at the mainnet launch, there's probably going to be several competing chains, and either they all merge because EOS provides, side chaining, the scalability via, having several chains that use the same token and they can interoperate with each other, or one of them is going to be the EOS chain, and all others are going to die. And that's another reason why it might be a good thing to wait till we see what happens, and then open the gateway for the correct chain.
So does that? I think that kind of answers a question that pops up into my mind. Then, are you guys going to be considering supporting multiple chains or just one? And how?
We were thinking about this question, and we are not sure yet. But from my understanding, there are going to be several ports of EOS from the get-go that more might use different tokens, and if we see that they have a viable and community and views and stuff like that, then we'll support them. I'm not sure about logistics of this yet, because I know that there are several competing test chains, and we are taking a couple of them at least, and we're even considering raising up our own with with the idea that people who are really interested in graphene and who are graphene enthusiasts and who are participating in BitShares and in Steam and in WhaleShares and whatever other projects would participate in our chain. At least that's not.
What would be interesting would be to have it where.
I mean, there are several chains by people who I don't know, and they're known by ones that I know. I know that a lot of people that I know and that are being part of Graphene community for a while participate in those other chains, but they didn't actually, come up and made up their own chain. But I think if we have time and resources to do that, we'll raise our chain, test chain. And we'll try to participate in maybe in bootstrap of EOS chain, mainnet chain. I'm sorry. I was saying that we want to launch a testnet, EOS testnet of our own, and that we want to participate in bootstrapping the EOS chain as per that article about doing so. But I'm not sure if we'll have time and resources to do that. But what I can promise you is that we'll have a gateway for EOS mainnet more or less as soon as it's as the mainnet is launched.
My thinking on it is we could potentially, using BitShares, create a means by which there's a vote made before it actually happens. I mean, if we could have something like this and leverage the tools that we have to help define that decision, maybe we have it where like the EOS chain that sends the most tokens to the BitShares exchange is the one that we recognize. These are the types of things. We are a DEX, that's a pretty powerful thing. We could leverage this stuff.
Well, I think that something like that requires a post on BitShares, talk on WhaleShares, on Steam. And I mean, a lot of BitShares people have quite a bit of stake in EOS. So if it is enough stake, probably we can affect this. But the idea is that that all those people who are part of Graphene community should, connect and collaborate on that, because otherwise other communities are going to take over. Because I mean, the ones who are most active get to decide what's happening if this stake is also big enough.
Yeah, these are the types of things that I'm thinking about myself. I don't want to get too far into it, but it is cool that you guys are doing what you're doing, and it's also cool that you're honest about it and tell people, there are reasons not to work with ETH, which is something I don't think that we did cover much of. It was more about EOS, but it's like there are many reasons not to work with ETH, and it hasn't always been the most popular position from our community, for our community in crypto in general to say that stuff, but when you look at the facts, it's just how it looks over time, right? So I think it's a good point to just also make sure that everybody's aware of. With that said, does anybody have anything else that they'd like to bring up regarding this? Xanox, do you feel like you've covered the majority of what you'd like to cover today with everybody?
Yeah, I think so. But if there are any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Does anybody here in attendance have something that they would like to bring up or say about this? Steam Power Pick says, kitties. I will second that, my friend. We have a mound of kitten memes because of that instance. All the love in the world, of course, just not for the actual tech. Okay, sounds like everybody's good. Xanox, how do people reach out to you if they would like to contact you behind?
Our most heavy presence is on Telegram. We also have a front desk support thing, and it's also possible to contact us by opening a support ticket. That is rudex.freshdesk.com. And also we have several email boxes at Rudex, I think. I'll have to check and I'll post it in the chat. Hold on. But the best way is to go through either Russian BitShares chat on Telegram. It is possible to DM me or Dima at Blockchain I think he's part of this group as well. And there are a lot of different ways to contact them. If you go to Steemit, I think most of our translations also mention the ways to contact us.
Well, thank you for everything you do, and thank you for joining up and participating in these discussions and talking to everybody about it. And thank you for everybody who's listening to these and who's sharing the content that these people who want to voluntarily join every week. They volunteer to join up, to talk about what they're doing, to open up questions and bring them to the community and help with a discussion that I think helps everybody from newbies to experts in the field. These hangouts kind of cover a lot, but they very much do give everybody an opportunity to learn. So those of you who are sharing this in the BitShares Telegram, in various other places, you are leveraging what we offer as a community and what we archive of your data and your story. And you're leveraging that and amplifying it out into the world. So I can't express how important it is and how thankful I am for those who do share our content. And this is here for you guys. So thank you for making it possible. Now, with that said, just going to really quick ask Phrase if he is, or rather Gravity Protocol, if he's ready to talk about the Gravity project.
Hi, yeah, I'm here. I'm ready.
Sounds good. Feel free, please, to step up, tell everybody about yourself, a little bit about the project, and maybe we can open it up for some community questions.
Sure. So first of all, thank you so much for having me today. It's really an honor to present to you guys, because I know many of you, not personally, but I know what I'm doing. So as to Gravity.
Breaking up.
He just got kicked off. Just a reminder, everybody, we do these live. We do have mic issues at times. He did check his mic, and technical issues, as you can tell, can still come up. But this is a great opportunity to let everybody know.
He's here.
Yeah, he is here. I understand. Is he back?
Yes. Yuri.
Feel free to step up.
Well, he was back.
Okay, so just to keep everybody aware, This is a great moment and an opportunity for like a public announcement. Obviously, he did actually come in and mic check this morning, so he did everything that he should have done. But for a reminder for everybody, this type of stuff does get lowered in number of occurrences whenever everybody makes sure to check their mics. But obviously, just to make it clear, he already did early on.
Sorry, guys. So I'm back.
For stepping up.
Yeah, I'm back. So do you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfectly.
Yeah, great. So yeah, a little bit about myself. I'm
You must have internet connection problems.
Well, I think
More than one way that you can be followed up with technical issues.
yeah.
yes, there are many ways. One of which is bandwidth on the internet. Sometimes we have people who cut out, and it's not their mic; it's nothing on their end that they can really do anything about. So what I'm going to do though is I'm just going to say.
I think that it also might be related with the current situation in Russia. Our Roskomnadzor agency is blocking everything. They're doing blanket blocks because they are at war with Telegram. And I urge Yuri to try and to get to connect, but I can talk about Gravity Protocol a little bit because I am also part of the team. They actually were one of the people when they showed me their stuff, and I was like, wow, because I mean, out of all the white papers and all of the people that talk to me, I do blockchain consulting to support, working for Odex, and one of the things is I looked at this, and and the stuff they had was had above most of the stuff that is on. Well, I think only thing that might be better is what Dan is doing, but he's been at it quite a bit longer, so it's understandable that his stuff is better. Anyway, I am currently hired by Gravity Protocol, and I am going to participate in the Shanghai conference as part of their team. And one of the reasons why they're presenting here is that they are not doing an ICO because, you know, ICOs are overhyped, overblown, not so. That's why they're presenting. They are share dropping on BitShares. They share dropping on some other Griffin chains, EOS, and I think there was a post recently about the share drop and the distribution. Hopefully, Yuri, are you here? Well, hopefully Yuri can tell you more, but let's see if he's here. One of the reasons for coming here and presenting it here also is that we would like to have the Gravity Protocol would like to have a sub forum on BitShares talk, and maybe on WhaleShares. I don't know.
Yeah, of course.
And also to make the community aware that if you have BitShares, if you have EOS, and I don't know, please check the post. I'm going to get the link there about the distribution. You will have a share drop. It's one of the things. Yeah, thank you for posting the link. It is going to be sort of, there's going to be sort of a gateway between the share drop tokens, and they're going to be share dropped on. They go on BitShares. You'll receive a BitShares token that you can redeem on the Gravity Protocol mainnet, and on other networks is going to be more or less the same. Yes.
Everyone is aware about it, but still, I mean, the connection became really bad this week. So I'm back to you, and actually Xenox told you about the, let's say, the second part of what I wanted to talk about is about the distribution model, which doesn't have contain an ICO, but contains airdrops and incentives for rewards for the Graphene community chains. And actually, I want to start from the beginning. So what is it about generally? So the key thing here is the economy. So what we do, we let's say
build upon.
Yeah, let's say we revise the way how crypto economy is done. So first thing is here is we make, let's say, a different type of emission on the protocol level. So the emission is not predefined like, let's say, in Ether, where Ethereum network, where there's 30% emission during the first year, 25% during the second year, and so on. And it's not pre-mined, so that means that emission happens, but it happens only when the network grows. So we have this network growth index, and once this index increases, the emission happens. So this network growth index works accordingly to several things. So first thing is the number of the accounts within the network. Second is the number of transactions within the network. Third is the number of active accounts with new transactions within the network. We recalculate, actually the protocol recalculates this index every week, and once the index is higher than it was before, the emission within the protocol happens. So the reason why we do it, we want to connect the economy of the protocol to the economy of the network, to the real economy, which is actually the consequence of whether the network is used. So once it's used, there is economic value within it. And that's why emission, like in let's say, real economy is connected to the real growth of the network. So second is the emission distribution. So the emission is distributed among all the network participants depending on their index of importance. So index of importance is a, let's say, public index. It can be visible by like anyone. And it's like something that like we can compare it with the PageRank in Google. It is the combination of different things like the stack of the account and the activity of the account. The activity of the account depends on the number of transactions an account gets, and the amount of these transactions, and the clusters around the account. So like if you are in an active cluster, the activity of this cluster also influences the index of activity, and therefore the index of importance of the account. So this is done in order to redistribute value to the most active and thus most valuable participants of the network. So, and this will cause continuous redistribution of the value of the wealth within the network. So that means that it is, let's say, relatively new to the blockchain economy, because usually the blockchain, the whole thing of the wealth within a blockchain economy depends on how early did you get the stack. Yeah. So it's both in proof of work and probably it should be in proof of stake, though we don't have a lot of like examples. And so here the value will be redistributed constantly. Yeah. So once you are inactive on the network, your importance goes down, the index of importance. It also impacts the governance, because the voting within it's the consensus algorithm of the network is deployed to get proof of importance, and the voting will be also built on this importance index, and like thus take into account not only the stack but the activity of the accounts. So yeah, so as to economy and as to governance, that's it probably. So as to how we're gonna use it, we establish a company which is called Gravity Solutions, and this company will be focused on developing various solutions, apps upon this protocol, mainly for digital content, for the personal content. We are planning to launch the mainnet this summer in July, and in the end of May we plan to launch the testnet. And so yeah, so we invite everyone to take part in the mainnet, to run a node, to submit pull requests on GitHub, and to contribute to the testnet. We have in our distribution model, we have certain incentives for everyone contributing to the testnet. Yeah, so basically that's it. I'll share some links. We have certain activity on our Steemit. So I'll share the links regarding the whole thing, the whole philosophy of the protocol, explaining these things like index of importance in a simple way, and a post regarding the distribution model. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for having me.
Harrison asked a question about how the IPFS share drop will work.
Yeah. Actually, IPFS, I think we will implement this year later. So I think it's gonna happen this autumn. So this airdrop, this distribution will take part later. So in the end of this year, and yeah, and we will incentivize everyone using the IPFS within the network. Yeah, I mean, like we'll have let's say I think it's gonna be a marketplace of IPFS storage, and so the early adopters of this marketplace will be rewarded.
Harrison is asking
and the particulars would be posted a bit later. I mean, we have quite a stack of stuff that we have to write up and explain how it's going to happen. So one of the things about the initial distribution is that apart from the share drops on the existing chains, there's going to be something called worker incentive thing, and this is basically giving parts of stack to developers who come and participate in launching, in testing the testnet, in writing different stuff like Steam and Graphene has a lot of stuff like Piston, like JS libraries, like Go libraries and stuff like that. And the idea is to encourage people who contribute code, who contribute testing, who contribute UI, because a lot of stuff is going to be related to how the about applications to be built above the protocol level, and there's going to be a lot of interfaces on the protocol level to encourage this sort of stuff. I mean, one of the reasons that a lot of blockchains are not in the mainstream and will not be able to be on the mainstream is that people don't understand the importance of of the interfaces between the protocol level that all blockchains are, and application level and levels in between.
Okay, guys. Well, we can get pretty deep into this. Can we talk a little bit about this a little bit more during the after party, and maybe you can join up
Sure.
and we can continue this discussion. The one issue that we do run into is that we obviously want to make sure that everybody has enough time. However, I think these are important to talk about, and one of the things I really wanted to cover today was the share drops, but I think I think I can sense that this discussion is going to become a big one. So if we can, maybe we can discuss it a little bit more in the future, and you guys can provide some more updates on this and some answers to these questions.
No problem. One of the reasons they hired me is that I'm one of the guys that makes what Rubix is doing transparent by going everywhere and telling people what we are doing. And one of the things I will be doing is getting you all the updates on what's going on and what's up.
Gotcha.
And we are going to participate at the Shanghai conference, but for those that can't attend, and I hope there is going to be recordings to watch, but for all of those who are too lazy to watch the recording because reading texts sometimes takes less time, there's going to be a article version of what I'm going to be talking about, and what Yuri is going to be talking about, because he's my boss, and he's going to cover the more technical details. I'm going to be covering more vision details and the economy details, because that's what they hired me for. Well, that's it. Everything else will have to wait till after party.
Yeah, please. But I will say this: it's a good thing to bring up and talk about, and I appreciate everybody in the community who brings up these things in a productive way and discusses how we can improve everything as a community. So thank you for everybody who does participate. How do people reach out to you if they want to ask you more questions off the line?
Telegram is better. I can share my Telegram account and the community Telegram chat.
Yeah, if you could give the community Telegram.
Yeah, sure.
I'll even read it off, or you can read it off, either way. So this is a great opportunity just to let everybody know that whenever they give this information about how to contact them, feel free to leverage that, get into these groups, make friends with people, let them know that you exist, and let them know what you're doing, let them know about these Hangouts, and that we try to offer a platform for everybody to join up and bring up questions and topics that they feel are going to make the ecosystem better, and give reward and recognition to those who might not otherwise get it, who we believe that deserve a little bit of recognition. So these are the kind of goals that we strive toward by offering these Hangouts. So I just want to thank everybody who is going out there. And though we do have people who are asking tough questions, it's a tough environment with security and all this good stuff. Like we're definitely living in a world where we have to make sure that all these things are accounted for. And it's a good thing to ask these kinds of questions, to discuss them in large. And one of the great things about the after party for the BitShares Open Agendas Hangouts and all the Beyond Bitcoin Hangouts is that you can talk about all this stuff offline into a big blossoming topic that can last for hours sometimes. So just something to consider. And with that said, we do have one more person who's going to be here today to talk about Society.io, and that is Phrase. I believe I'm saying that correctly. If I'm not, please let me know.
Hey, how's everyone doing today?
Very well. Please do us a favor, step up and give an introduction of yourself and the project that you have and how this works along with or how this connects with BitShares.
So my name is Jonathan Frazier, aka Phrase, and I am the CTO at Society.io. We are building a decentralized social network that focuses on securing users' content, making sure that it can only be seen by people who have been given explicit access, tools to get paid for the content that they upload, primarily focusing on live video through 3 use cases, which are peer-to-peer calls, people doing consultations. You can do a call and get paid per minute in our token. You can also broadcast live events and sell tickets to those events. So post on-demand content with the revenue model similar to like the YouTube structure, but all of these, the payments would be in crypto. One of the reasons why we're using BitShares and really by the tech and really all of the projects that Dan Larimer has worked on, but it allows you to use a price stable currency. It means you don't have to deal with the rapid price swings that are typical in the crypto markets at large. Focus really is providing a platform where users can kind of mental revenue streams to what they do and just get paid for opening up access as they live their lives. I apologize. Our website is down for maintenance at the moment. I definitely recommend checking that out. In the future, I will be posting more updates about the project on Steam and around the community. We've been going around to some of the blockchain conferences, just getting involved in the community. At Virtual Growth, who is part of the outreach team, I believe, for BitShares. He just has been encouraging me to, I guess, get more engaged with the community on BitShares and Steam, which is why I'm here. But I guess instead of just talking kind of long-windedly about the project, definitely would open it up to any questions people might have. And I can also post, or we have a presentation.
Sure, please post the presentation as well. Out of curiosity, how do you plan on dealing with the content, the live streaming and all that good stuff?
So our technology stack is fully open source. We're based on, there's a media server project called Corrento. Basically, we use for the live streaming aspects. It's WebRTC based, which is one of the great peer-to-peer technologies that's out. It basically lets you connect directly with peers and stream video developed by Google fairly recently. And we're using BitShares, as I was saying, for our payments. Our model with the price stable token is basically we add delegates to our network, people who are hosting, I guess, infrastructure for the streaming and storage of videos to charge transaction fees. And this is under a delegated proof of stake model, similar to what BitShares and Steam are using, where people who hold our tokens can select who these delegates are, and the delegates would post their transaction fees, and he would decide who they want the core infrastructure providers to be.
That's interesting. So you guys are going to have your own, is this going to be your own network as far as that protocol is going to be its own network, or is it going to be kind of layered on top of BitShares? I'm trying to figure out, is it going to have its own chain essentially?
Yeah, really in the short term, we're going to be leveraging BitShares for most of our chain specific infrastructure. There are already mechanisms in BitShares for doing voting. That's what we would be doing in the short term.
That's cool. That's very interesting. So you guys are going to be leveraging BitShares and the voting and all that stuff to essentially do all of that work for you. And
right.
You'll leverage the tokens in the ecosystem.
So the main reason, I just saw a question from Taconator about the reasons for native tokens. So governance is obviously very important for that, but one of the other reasons why we see a native token as being really valuable are incentives and rewards for users. This is actually one of the reasons why I thought the Gravity Protocol project that they were just talking about was really interesting. Approach it in a somewhat different way, but with the same intended effect. As users are interacting with the platform, actions on the platform would have different weights, and you'd have daily payouts similar to Steam based on engagement with the platform. Really, the only way that we could do that would be with the native token.
Interesting. So you guys are going to be using the tokens on there. And did you hear as far as the governance, how is that going to work? You're going to have just these delegates, but they're not going to be witnesses, right? They're going to just do something specific in the ecosystem. I'm assuming like arbitration.
Basically, delegates are validating I guess, interactions between users. They're providing storage. And as I was mentioning before, we're using IPFS for our, we're also going to be providing infrastructure for the streaming. So the incentive for the delegates to participate in this is that for offering these services, they get paid in transaction fees.
Okay, I see how it's going to work a little bit more. There's not going to be, well, I guess they could censor content if they wanted to, right? But then they would be voted out essentially.
It's one of the beautiful things about delegated proof of stake. It really puts more power in the hands of the community.
Yeah.
The transaction fees are going to be paid in the price stable currency. Really, all of the payments are done with the price stable currency. You're working, you don't want what you're receiving value. It's really hard to run businesses or like pay your bills if you don't know how much money is coming in. The rewards are in the platform token, and those are kind of separated value versus influence. And really what that allows us to do is kind of our price stable currency is backed with our platform token. We're not really held at the mercy of price fluctuations. Really, we're not needing to build in the same way where as a lot of other ICO projects where they're just trying to pump the value of their token kind of in speculation in the network. Because we're also going to be a delegate. Our main goal is just growing the volume of transactions on the network because that's how we get paid.
Yeah. I wanted to get into asking about the MPA a little bit more, but we are around 9 a.m. here, so we're about an hour exactly in. So if you could do me a favor, and if there's like, let's say, take a minute to cover anything else that you'd like to say and how to get in contact with you if anybody wants to ask you any more questions behind the scenes.
So I am around on Discord. I usually have one of these tabs open, though I haven't really been super active. Just quickly to answer the Harrison's question, it is a market pegged asset. It's backed in 200% collateral with our platform token. And I also will follow up with a link to our Steemit group. Probably be hearing about us more just from posts in Steemit.
Sounds good, man.
Have a Discord server. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, please provide that link. No, you're fine. And what I will say is these Hangouts are for people who come in and they talk about the power of depots and how all these things can be customized and how we can leverage them as to create new tools in our toolbox. And we can make powerful value propositions in all these communities. And BitShares can be one of the places, and is one of the places where a lot of this stuff is going to trade. So something to keep in mind for everybody who's joining up to these Hangouts every week, or those who are listening. These are the value propositions that you guys are offering, boots on the ground, and not every single one of them is going to work. But if we support as many of them as we can that make sense, that are offered by people who are trying to provide value, and we know that this is the case, then I urge everybody to consider how important it is to share what they're doing. This is how we tell people about what's going on. This is how we get out to them and get your voice directly into their ears. And those of you who are sitting there at night twiddling your thumbs thinking about how exactly this is going to work, how this is going to work, and you just can't stop thinking about the mechanics and the gamification of blockchain usage. If you're one of those weird people who talks about transaction speed and has people roll their eyes in the back of their heads, you are probably one of the people who needs to be coming to these Hangouts and talking with other people like that. And you need to probably consider leveraging what we have and letting those people teach the rest of the world, because these are the people who are learning and at the point of almost expertise in some ways mastery, because a lot of these people have been thinking about these problems before crypto even existed. So we have a huge community and a huge archive. We have community initiatives that we reward you all in different tokens in different chains. All of this stuff is made possible by BitShares, and the BitShares community has supported this platform from the very beginnings. I want to thank everybody here for being part of that and for enabling this. And I'll just say one more time, share everybody's content. And thank you very much. We'll see you guys next Saturday.